Today we'll be giving a gameplay overview and review of the game Iberian Rails, created by Tony Chen and published by Monsoon Publishing. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode with To Die For Games. I'm Mandy, the board gaming pinup girl. My fellow hosts are
Tracy, the gaming maven.
I'm Stephane, the games teacher.
Rush for time? Click on a timestamp that you're looking for right down below.
Like what you see? Leave us a comment and subscribe to see when we get more content posted.
Iberian Rails plays in about 70 to 90 minutes and accommodates 2 to 5 players. We've got Iberian Rails all set up and ready to go, so let's get to it. Players compete to own shares of the 6 train companies and become CEO, where they can help to expand the company's train routes and amass the most money. So, Stephane, tell us, what's inside the box?
One double-sided game board, 27 shares consisting of 3 Gaudi rules, 6 Ride with Cervantes, 5 Flamenco motions, 5 Viajero Surrealista, 4 Galicia Express, and 4 Naranja Steel. 138 cubes in the 6 company colors, 12 character cards, 12 character boards, 5 player markers, 40 hotel tiles in the 5 player colors, 5 player screens, not shown here in the prototype, pesetas of various denominations, and the rulebook. Alright, now that we know what we're playing with, how do we set up? Tracy?
Place the game board in the center of the table. Place each of the different companies' shares onto the corresponding spaces on the board. Place 1 cube of each company's matching color on the company's starting city hex. Place 1 cube of each company's matching color into the first row of the payout table in the corresponding column. Place the remaining cubes near the game board. Each player takes a screen, player token, and 8 hotel tiles of their color. All pesetas are placed near the game board, and each player takes a certain amount based on the number of players. Character cards are randomly placed in a row on top of their matching character boards. The characters played are based on the number of players. Now that we're all set up, how do we play? Mandy?
To start the game, each railroad company, in order, auctions off 1 share. Players in turn order bid on the share. The starting bid can be 0. Bidding continues until all but 1 player passes. The player with the highest bid pays the railroad by placing the pesetas onto the train's reserved space. The player who won the bid starts the bidding for the next train company's share until all shares have been bid upon. Each round consists of the following phases. Phase 1. Players choose a character card. In the first round, the CEO of Ride with Cervantes Railroad chooses a character. In subsequent rounds, the player whose marker is the furthest left on the row of character boards chooses first. Players return their old character and choose a new and available character and take the character card, placing their player marker on the matching underlying character board. Repeat until all players have returned their old character and chosen a new, different one. Phase 2. Each railroad takes an action. Each railroad can take one of 3 possible actions that their CEO's character can perform. 1. Build tracks. By using money from the company's cash reserve, the CEO of that company can lay tracks based on the costs on their character card. Occupation fees are paid out if there's already an existing railroad on that hex. 10 pesetas are paid to that railroad company. Note: only 2 railroads may occupy a single hex. Hotel bonuses are paid out from the bank. When a railroad company places a track on a player's existing hotel, that player receives from the bank 10 pesetas times the number of tourism city hexes that track connects to the hotel. For each city a railroad connects to, that railroad's share value increases by moving the respective marker down 1 on the payout table. 2. Open auction and payout. In order to perform this action, the railroad must still have 1 share in its reserve. Starting with the CEO, players will bid on a single share of the company. Players can bid 0 pesetas. Bidding continues until all but 1 player has passed. The highest bid is paid to the railroad's reserve, and the player takes the share, checking to see if they've become CEO. Each share of the active company collects pesetas, including shares owned by either a player or in the company's reserve. The amount per share is based on the payout table. 3. Closed auction and payout. This action works the same way as an open auction, however each player bids once and the amount is placed in their hand. Once all players have their bid amount in hand, They simultaneously reveal. The highest bid wins. Once the Naranja Steel Company finishes action, a new round begins. So, how does the game end? Stephane?
The game ends when 4 of the railroad companies have no shares in their reserve, or if one railroad is connected to 12 cities. The current round will end, and each share will pay out twice its value as per the payout table. The player with the most pesetas wins the game. So that is how you play Iberian Rails.
And now we're ready to give a review of Iberian Rails. So guys, what'd you think?
I like train games, so I kind of like that aspect of it. I'm not used to this type of mechanic, and we'll talk about that as we go along. So I'm kind of a little bit on the fence, and I like parts of it, and there are other parts not quite as keen on. So.
Okay.
The stock mechanism was a little different for me,
Yes.
and so I wasn't sure how to make that work properly. So a few more playthroughs, and I think it'll be something that'll sink in a bit better.
I liked this game, but again, I wasn't used to the gameplay because I haven't played this type of game, as they haven't either. So it was different for me. So it wasn't not like, and it wasn't, I don't know, I'm kind of in between. So I'm not really sure, but we're going to explain, how we came to our general opinion. So artwork and theme.
This is actually one I want to touch on because the cover, fantastic, a little misleading. Because
Yeah.
when you sent us this, and I didn't look at the
Yeah.
details of the game, I saw it, I thought, oh my god, it's a train going off the tracks. This is like a really funky
Right.
game, kind of like Unfair and other stuff we played we really liked. And not that it's a bad game, but
Yeah.
it definitely didn't suit the slightly more somber, more, serious, kind of methodical feel of the game. And I was like, oh.
Right.
So that kind of threw me. However, based on what I've seen of other 18xx games, based on people's play, what I've seen online, stuff in stores, it definitely has that 18x feel. It looks a lot like German railways and stuff like that, so it's got a lot of theme for sure.
Yeah, I agree with Tracy. The box art made you think that the game was going to be a little more whimsical than it actually is.
Whimsical, good word.
Yeah, that's a very good word.
Like fantastic art through the game, but the game is definitely more serious than it is whimsical. So.
Yeah, and again, it's the same opinion, so I don't really think I need to add on to that. I think that's pretty clear. Quality of components. This might be hard for us to talk about considering the game we have is a prototype. I mean, I think we can come with expectations of what we would like to see in the game. I mean, card quality being really thick. The board is supposed to be double-sided. We only had one side in our prototype, so I think it's supposed to be a map of Taiwan. Is that correct?
Yes.
On the other side?
So.
So we'll
Tokyo,
expect,
Taiwan? One
is
of
it
the two.
Taiwan?
Taiwan, I
Taiwan, I think, yeah. So, I mean, we'll expect to see that happening. Some of the blocks, I think we had squares instead of potentially trains for the meeples, but I think that might be in a, what do you call it?
Stretch goal.
Stretch goal, my goodness, yes, stretch goal. So we'll see how that pans out. But again, it's really hard for us to comment on quality because it's a prototype that we have, so maybe we'll just leave that one there. Game mechanics.
Well, do you want me to
Go ahead.
I'll go? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
definitely from what I've seen of 18x games, the whole shares and the game is more about the trains versus yourself, like you're playing for the train companies. So the, putting down tracks and auctioning off of more shares, that seems to be pretty standard across the board with 18x games. I did like the characters in this, using the characters and trying to figure out which one would work for you based on what strategy you're trying to do now versus later in the game. Like you had the nephew, we thought the nephew was absolutely hilarious. It was kind of funny. And all those, like the banker and the hotelier, those were very handy. And I think that's what made this game unique to other 18x games like German Railways and stuff like that.
Yeah, I enjoyed how they made the game a little more accessible for people who aren't already familiar with this style of game. So it may be a gateway into those other railroad type games.
Right, and I think people kept saying it's like an 18xx light type of game, so exactly what you said, it'd be a gateway into those types of games, which I myself am looking at trying one eventually, so this will lead us in a touch. So.
We have a group of people who play them a lot.
Exactly.
So we have people who will shepherd us into that experience.
Exactly, so that's next on our list. Similar games.
Well, the one I mentioned that seems to get them is the most well known is German Railways.
Yes.
I'm hoping to get it soon because I actually saw it in the store here, so I'm gonna go purchase that. And actually, honestly, Iberian Rails did kind of make me at least want to venture into the game. So that's really good. Like I said, it did help me venture into it. So now I'm gonna look at maybe trying German Railways and other similar games like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that comes to mind for me. Looking to step from this into other railroad games as well. So.
Okay. I'm going to jump back a bit into game mechanics, and maybe I should have mentioned this earlier. The bidding. Now, I don't know, is that a normal part of an 18xx?
From what I could see and what we kind of talked about with some of the crew that plays the 18xx game, bidding, because you're not playing really as yourself, you're playing on behalf of the train companies in the game. The money that you have is really mostly useful for that. You want to keep some back to help expand certain things based on what the specific mechanic is for that. But I think most of the money is supposed to go to bidding so that those train companies can do stuff. We were stymied by, we're like, we're only going to bid 10.
So cheap we were.
Do anything. So
I keep my money for me.
Exactly. Until we realized, can't build any more rails because I have no more money in my stock.
Wrong way to go.
So we started to learn as we were playing that we're like, no, we got to spend more money. So we started to do that, and we started to see, oh yeah, this is how you do it. Okay.
There was because there's only one. I don't know if you would call them group of stocks, the yellow ones, where there was only there were only three.
Only three.
So if you didn't put that money in from the beginning, you were kind of, even though it was worth a lot, if you didn't put the money in, you weren't getting very far. So I was, one of the ones I kept going for the yellow, and I just wasn't putting enough money into it. So that kind of stalled me, I think. So I don't know if that's meant to be part of the gameplay or if maybe they just need to add more of those stocks. Not really sure. Something I guess through gameplay and further gameplay is unable to know if I did that correctly. Yeah. So final thoughts.
Go ahead. Okay. We do this all the time. Who's going to talk? So I enjoyed the experience. I want to thank the designer for sending us this game and giving us a chance to play it and play test it. And looking forward to this and other railroad games now that I've had this first experience in this genre. So thank you very much.
Ditto. I found this game really kind of inspired me to do other games this style that I normally wouldn't try because I was a little overwhelmed when I watched the 18X guys play their games over there with their poker chips, and I'm like, no, I'm not going there. This was good. It was that. I think I needed just a little bit more from it to really make me want to love it. I'm not really sure what that is, but I'm going to try some other ones and maybe I'll be able to compare a bit better.
Right.
So, yeah.
So overall, I thought it was good. I don't know if it's just maybe I need to play it a bit more or different types of games like this to kind of appreciate it a bit more, but I see where they were going, like with the bidding and the characters. I thought that was really good. I think that a few things could have been done with the rule book. Overall, it was fine, but I feel like there were some details lacking. There was something we were looking at. I don't know if it was the hexes, the hotels, or there was something that we were having trouble with discerning between the two.
Well, it was like if you go on Board Game Geek, it's obvious. You mentioned how many cities are tourist cities, but we didn't know which ones were tourist cities versus regular cities. I'm like, we're guessing these ones are tourist cities?
If it was in the manual, it was in some fine print in a corner somewhere that we just glossed over or missed. But
on the website, on Board Game Geek, it does mention it. So
right, correctly. So so maybe just little things like that, or some stuff was mentioned later, should have been maybe mentioned a little bit earlier. Overall, the rulebook I thought was pretty decent. So overall, I liked it. Thought there was a bit of disconnect between the art and the actual gameplay. So if you're looking at the art and expecting that kind of game, it's not. It's literally like an 18xx Lite. So keep that in mind. But overall, it's a good game. All right. So what do you guys think overall? Thumbs up? One thumb up? We're gonna give it one thumb up. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.